Thank you very much. I'm happy to take some questions.
Check. Okay.
It's very bright up here. I think...
Milo. Or, as we'll be saying a week from now.
There we go.
Oh.
There you are. No, you're all set. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. As we'll be saying a week from now, Mr. Press Secretary.
Oh, well.
And I...
Maybe hoping for too much.
I actually did come up with this question on Tuesday, but your opening remarks sort of took the wind out of my sails.
Oh, I'm sorry to
For
do
the
that.
first time modern progressive left tasted power was in the French Revolution, which led to the terror and the genocide of the Vendée. In the 19th century, the progressive left had power, and they persecuted Christians and murdered tens of thousands. In the 20th century, they murdered 100 million. The Democrat Party, of all the different wings of it, seems to be held together only by what I would call the sacrament of abortion. Would you, as a fellow Roman Catholic, be willing to entertain the idea that there is something diabolic about the progressive left?
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't. Thank you. Thanks for the question. I hadn't seen this. Yes, you should. Well, clearly they are godless. And I don't just mean that in the sense they don't go to church on Sunday. I mean that they are sick. Now, some of you will not be hugely keen on this position, but I happen to consider murder, however old the person is. Whether that is... Whether they are 20 or 20 weeks, murder is murder. There is something deeply sick. Maybe we can't go as far as diabolical. Some will go that far. There is something sick about people who defend the selling of baby parts and then attack the guy who exposed it. There is something sick about that. There's something sick about preaching progressiveness whilst welcoming in an ideology that murders homosexuals and oppresses women. There's something sick about taking their money while you do it, being funded, as Hillary Clinton is, by the same people who fund ISIS, and then having the gall, having the chutzpah, if you'll forgive the expression, to come back here and preach about gay rights. Well, fuck her. There is something, and as far as I'll go for you, sir, is deeply sick about the progressive mind. And I suppose it is explicable in part by some of the things we know about why people turn out left-wing. We know, for instance, that men with less upper body strength are far more likely to be left-leaning. We know... It's true. We know that women who consider themselves unattractive are much more likely to vote... Sometimes you have to scold your own parents. It's one of those occasions. You're coming with me. Daddy's going to get spanked. Stop it. I called myself Trump sexual in an interview with the New York Times, and they're such idiots. They printed it. It was wonderful. Do you find Donald Trump sexually attractive? I said, oh yes. In fact, I call myself a Trump sexual. And she went, oh, okay. Lost track of the question. I think I was done. Next question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Milo.
Hi.
I'd like to start saying I've survived cancer twice, and I definitely say...
I know what you're going to say, and so does everybody else, but say it anyway.
I'd rather have cancer than feminism.
Come up here, come on. They won't be able to hear you, but come and give me a hug. How are you?
I'm fine.
Wonderful.
6 months remission, my
6 months remission, second time. Congratulations. I wish you all the best. Wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, if you hop back there, they'll be able to hear you again. Oh, can you imagine being the New York Times listening to that? Or Vox, or Mike, or BuzzFeed, or Gawker. Well, not Gawker anymore. One down.
Well, my
carry
question
on.
is, I am the daughter of immigrant refugees. My parents, 60 years ago this week, escaped Hungary to come to this country to give their children. We were born here, my sister and I. My daughters are immigrants. We adopted them from China, 2 orphan children when they were babies. So we believe in legal, proper immigration. So I understand about the melting pot, how it should be. And what do you think? How do you think we can bring it back to what it used to be, where legal immigration, people who came here to work, my father worked 4 jobs, did not have a single handout, and built himself up to be a head of an entire maintenance department. How do we do that again, to make this country great by people from other countries?
Well, one of the great, thank you for the question, and thank you for, both, touching and amusing us. Well, it's very simple, really. This is the best country in the world. You don't have to allow people to come here just because you happen to share a border with them. Just because you happen to share a border with somebody doesn't obligate you to paying for their families. That's insane. And when those people come over with regressive social attitudes and other problems, and some of the angel mums in America know what that means, all the more reason to think before you act. And of course, the Democrats have a vested interest in doing this. They want as many as possible. They want these people clamped to the state, so they vote Democrat forever. But America, in my view, should take an approach very much like the Australian points system. You have the country that everybody in the world wants to come to. So you can pick whoever you want. If America needs 100,000 doctors, get them, and get them from the best place. Now, if they happen to be in Mexico City, get them from there. They probably won't be. But if... take them from... Only if you think, because I want them from Nigeria, that I have something against Mexicans. No, wherever they're the best, take them from Cuba. Liberate those people from socialism. Take them and show them how much better our way is in the West. If America wants plumbers and can't train enough, if America wants electricians, if America needs whatever it needs, you can pick them from anywhere. You can take them from Australia, Canada, the UK. You can take them from countries that don't have cultures of female genital mutilation, gang violence, drug running, or worse, Islam. You don't have to do it. You can pick anyone you want. So the Australian point system, which basically says, what do we need, and who's got that? And they're the ones we let in. Seems to me eminently sensible. As most of you probably know, as a gay man, I'm very relaxed about a halt on Muslim immigration in particular. I don't see anything this country has to gain from Syrian refugees, and I don't see the moral responsibility either. If you want to help these people, by far the best thing to do is help them where they are. That's what David Cameron did. To his credit, just about the only good thing he did. Help them where they are. Build camps, build camps, help them to reconstruct, help to, do all sorts of things. Over there. Don't bring it here, because it's the first wave of immigration recently, whether it's from Mexico or the Middle East. This is the first sort of wave of immigrants who come not to seek the American dream, not to make lives better for their families, not to participate in America, but rather to turn America into one of the hellholes they came from. And you have an option ahead of you. You have a choice. You can just say no. And I think Trump will, and I think that's why you should vote for him.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello, Milo. This question comes from myself and my friends James and Jordan, who weren't able to make it tonight. but we were wondering what you think about Nigel Farage saying that he would like to be a part of the Trump administration if Trump is elected.
Well, I think you'd be very lucky to have him. Farage understands. Perhaps he could have an office over from me. Well, no, I think I want a morning show on Trump TV now. I don't know. Undersecretary for Social Justice. No, you know what I think I'd make a very good social justice secretary. No, what I really want to do is run the Department of Education. I want to do this, but in every school in America. I want to train up an army. American universities have been subjected to far left ideology and brainwashing for decades. I think it's time we did it the other way around, don't you? So I think I'll run the Department of Education, I'll fire all the bad professors, I'll fix, crazy student politics, and then I'll close the Department of Education down. Because there's no reason to have it. I think Nigel Farage would be a huge asset because he understands how to relate to ordinary people in a way that no other professional politician besides Donald Trump has managed to do. He understands what people's concerns are and realizes that it's not racist to worry about the changing nature of your civilization, your culture, your local area. It's not racist to have concerns about levels of immigration. It's not sexist to want to resist conspiracy theories and lies from third-wave feminists. And he's very good at explaining to people, I think so anyway, he's very good at explaining to people who might previously have been represented by left-wing parties, but now are sort of adrift, the Bernie voters, let's say, what the virtues of sort of libertarian conservatism might be and why, and I think he falls into the Trump bracket and the Boris Johnson bracket of fearless, strong leaders who don't mind making enemies and who make the countries that they operate in better places. Farage did something extraordinary, and the way that you know the measure of the man, I think, is that when he achieved what he had been fighting for 15 years, he quit. He's sort of done it. It's the first political career ever to end in success. And it's remarkably principled. What is this thing? Is this candy? What is it? A little beer thing. What? Pips. Pills. Oh, no. I don't need that. It's the first political career to end in success, and I thought it was a remarkably principled moment and something we're not used to seeing in politics. I think he'd be a great asset to any Trump administration. I hope they get him in. Perhaps Minister for Immigration. He can run ICE. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, my heart is pounding, I'm weak at the knees, and I have to go to the bathroom, so if I pass out in front of his royal fagness, please forgive me.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
First compliment, your effortless charisma and confidence is inspiring. Your raper intellect, sorry, that's Bill Clinton.
Raper intellect.
That's Bill Clinton. Your rapier intellect.
I think you mean rapier.
Rapier, yes, correct. Is amazing.
I have a raper fantasy, but not a raper intellect. Oh, what? Every woman does.
Second compliment. I don't know if you know who this is, but I believe that if Milton Friedman had a gay son, that you would be him.
I don't deserve the compliment, but thank you.
All right, and then my question is not really a question as much as I want to hear your thoughts and for you to make an appeal. I have a lot of friends and famous people that I respect, like Ben Shapiro, who are turning into moral absolutists. They have their moral hubris keeps them from voting for Trump.
Yes.
And it disappoints me and depresses me for someone that is intelligent as them to fail so epically. What appeal can you make to the people who refuse to vote for Trump on moral grounds? Exactly.
All right, so the last thing I'll say before the election to the never Trump cucks is as follows. You don't deserve to call yourselves conservatives. You don't deserve to call yourselves Republicans. I'm glad that your careers are over. I'm glad that your readerships have evaporated. I'm glad your publications are failing. I am glad that you have been exposed for the lazy, self-interested, corrupt, globalist cunts you are. I'm glad that finally America is seeing you for what you are, which is just another cog in the establishment machine. I'm glad, well, indeed, I'm glad all these things happened because it gives you a chance for redemption. And America loves redemptive arcs. America loves people who messed up and brought it back. The stripper who starts a business and becomes successful. The vegetarian who goes back to meat.
I'm a vegetarian.
And I'm sorry. Snap the fuck out of it! So there is the possibility for redemption buried deep in this terrible, miserable, catastrophic mess that establishment Republicans have got themselves into. And it is this. Little Benji. Nobody will know what you do in that booth. Nobody will know where you fill in your arrow. So protect the Supreme Court, protect the First Amendment, protect the Second Amendment, protect people from waves of immigration, protect them from bad trade deals. Nobody will tell anyone, just fucking vote Trump. Just do it. And then at least you can retire with a little dignity. Retreat from public life like the useless, floppy, fetid messes that you are, all of them, with at least a little dignity, with the knowledge that you didn't hand your country permanently and irrevocably over to Hillary Clinton, because that is the only effect and the only result of the Never Trump movement, is gifting the White House to Hillary. It is inexcusable and unforgivable, so don't do it. My entreaty is very simple. Thank you very much. Just nobody will know what you do on election day, so just make the right call, and nobody will ever know. Hi.
Hello, Milo. Just
Hi.
one thing first. There's a nice lady in the back there.
Yes?
She got kissed by Trump and has photographic evidence.
She does. Oh, well, good heavens.
She wants a kiss from you
I
afterwards.
think she should come up on stage. Come on. Bring it in. Bring it in. Oh, look. I can see why he picked you out of the audience. Look at you.
Oh, Milo.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm limited. I'm rationed. I'm rationed. I'm rationed. It's like immigration. You can't let it all in at once. Carry on.
Also, you got some really big Trump fans over here.
Wonderful. We're
My
happy to do
sister's
that.
watching live right now, and she's texting me right now. She says she loves you.
Thank you.
My question is about Russia and Putin. Now, Trump talks a big deal about having nice relations with Russia. But with Russia right now, they're in the Ukraine. They're agitating the Finns. They're agitating the Lithuanians, the Estonians, and the Latvians continuously. They're being very aggressive with the Poles. And with Trump talking about blowing up NATO and the NATO alliance, how does that fit in with being friends with Russia and being firm against Russian aggression, legitimate Russian aggression? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a reasonable question. It's a good question. Thank you. Well, I think Trump says, he says that he's never met him and he doesn't have any business interests in Russia. He just sort of, would be nice if he got on with the guy. I think he admires him for the reason that many Trump voters secretly admire Putin, although they know he can be a bad guy, that he obviously loves Russia in the way that Trump obviously loves America. And that, I think, that I think is the way to understand, the way to explain, the way to get why Trump is nice about Putin. Well, I think it's because he too is a strong man who loves his country, who advocates for its interests in the way he sees fit. As far as the realities of dealing with them go, I think Trump is right. It would be nice if we got on with them. The fact is that America can't police the whole world. And as aggressive as Russia is being in some places, to America's eternal shame, Russia is far more effective fighting ISIS than you are. Russia is doing a much better job of fighting ISIS than America is. Let them get on with it and help them where you can, because better a strong frenemy, which is probably what they are and probably what they'll always be, than a capitulation to an actual enemy. And America can only protect itself and protect freedom and democracy when it is free and when it is strong. And it won't be free and strong under Hillary Clinton. Nobody knows what he's going to do, if crises present themselves. And you have to, when you elect somebody into the White House, trust that their judgment is going to be sound and they're going to make the right call in those moments.
Doesn't that make you nervous?
Makes me a lot more nervous that she would be in the White House.
Good point.
Makes me a lot more nervous that a woman who has accepted $25 million from Saudi Arabia is in charge of foreign policy about the Middle East.
What makes you think that Putin can't buy off Trump the way that he's bought off Hillary?
Well, I think Trump is one of the very few people who, and it always seems to be Republicans and conservatives that this is the case for, one of the very few people who has put so much on the line to run for president. I mean, the only thing that could happen to Hillary Clinton is her life would improve. Trump's life has measurably been damaged already just by running. And in my assessment of his character, I suppose, is that he's demonstrated through the extraordinary damage that he's done to his reputation among some people, not good people like us, but the risks he's taken with his businesses, who's going to stay at the hotels if I become unpopular, all that kind of stuff. That shows you the measure of the man. That shows you, for all of his bluster and some people call it clownishness, I think it's just, this showmanship. The bluster, the stage presence, the larger-than-life persona. I think actions speak much louder than words, which is something that Republicans and libertarians understand a lot more better than Democrats. And I don't care about 11-year-old locker room talk, but what means something to me is that this guy has cost himself a lot of money and risked everything to run for president because he thinks he can make this country great again. That means something. So you contrast that with Hillary Clinton, whose entire life is based on personal enrichment from the taxpayer. And I think I would trust him to make much better decisions. And I would trust him not to take payoffs, as she has done. And I would trust him to, I think I would.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
What up, fag?
Hi, pumpkin.
The name given to me by my patriarchal figure is Paul Della Duca, and
It's a very strong name.
I come here bearing gifts for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
I made you, when I got home today, I made you a pen made out of African blackwood, because I know you like African blackwood.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Oh my goodness, wow. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Lovely.
But my
There we
question...
go. I can now tell people I have an African blackwood pen.
Now you always have it with you. You don't have to worry about any painful breakups or,
Good.
Except you don't have painful breakups because you have no soul, but I mean...
You started off so well.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Carry on, Don.
But, so in the spirit of tough love...
Oh, here we go.
Ooh, motifs, yeah. Tough love. Mm-hmm. So I'm a junior in high school,
Yes.
and the high school education system is very, there's a chokehold on the student body
And that's
like,
a bad thing.
Yeah, on what we can, not the, not the kinky kind, but there's a chokehold on like what acceptable speech is and like
I understand.
yeah, and so a lot of people.
I
Like,
was being
yeah.
flippant.
So, my question is like, how do us as students get around the faculty and the whole like student code of conduct?
Well, these codes of conduct, they're like the terms of service at places like Twitter. You can find yourself. Thank you. You can find yourself violating them without even knowing what you've done wrong. All I did was make a few perfectly factually defensible observations. That Leslie Jones looks like one of my ex-boyfriends. She does! That it was nice that they put a nice hot black dude in the new Ghostbusters remake. It was! That she was a whiny crybaby who should snap out of playing the victim and get back to making good movies. That's all perfectly true. These codes of conduct and terms of service, and whether it's in educational establishments or online, are sort of nice-sounding things. Oh, well, it's just about abuse and harassment, and who could possibly argue with that? But they're politically motivated, as you clearly know. And the codes of conduct in schools in particular are designed to limit the range of expression that at precisely the moment in your life when you should be exploring everything, you should be saying everything, you should be trying out everything. They're trying to restrict who you can be, how you can express yourself, what you can read. And it's very horrifying. The best advice I can give you is, and I've seen this work, ritual public humiliation. When your college does something, your school does something you find to be unconscionable, write them a letter, send it to the media. You will very quickly find that the only thing they hate more than conservatives is bad press. The only thing universities hate more than conservatives is bad press and donations drying up. Missouri lost tens of millions after pandering to Black Lives Matter. Which is why, when University of Maryland cancelled me with, they sort of imposed these ridiculous security fees and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I just decided to ritually, publicly humiliate them. Write endless stories about it, send it to the alumni networks. You need to become, as the left has been for so many decades, an activist, and you need to do it, if necessary, on your own, if necessary, alone, and you need to, with good nature, good humor, and scrupulously sticking to the facts, defend your right to express yourself however the hell you please. Because they can't stop you, they're public institutions. They're required to allow you to express yourself, and they cannot and they must not mischaracterize conservative points of view as hate speech. There's an elementary school, I think in New Jersey, was it? Little elementary school, somewhere in that area, that cancelled the school elections because so many of the kids were chanting Trump. This is evidence you're winning, because when they've got nothing left and nothing else, they just shut the election down, shut it down. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win. If you look at millennial polls, they've gone from sort of -12 to within the margin of error. If that's even remotely true, if that's even remotely close, she's fucked. Because that's the group that was the most hostile to him, and now you've got like Virginia millennials within 2%. Could get ugly. Let's hope it does. I would encourage you to rope in your parents, because they're going to have some clout too.
My dad's actually here tonight. He's right there.
He is? Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well,
He's never heard a talk from you.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about the swearing, son. I'm not. And if I'd known you were here, I would have been exactly the same. But I'm sorry you had to hear it. I would try to rope in your parents. I would write polite but forceful, factual letters, assert your rights, and refuse to allow them to characterize perfectly respectable, reasonable opinions and perfectly acceptable, reasonable speech as somehow unacceptable just because you've got the wrong politics. point it out every day. Do it with good nature, good humor. Nobody can resist the truth wrapped in a good joke. And just rip the piss out of them every day. Laugh at them. Laugh at them. If you tell a joke they don't like, tell one twice as bad. What's the worst they can do? Tell your dad? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I love you, Milo.
Thank you. Hello.
Oh, Mr. Yiannopoulos.
Hi, how are you?
In a past speech, you mentioned that conservatives in this country have mistaken a strongly worded petition and losing on principle for actually getting shit done.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give to anyone with political aspirations, other than the obvious ones of be fit, be fabulous, don't take money from foreign nations that support terrorism, you know, don't be
Wilkes
Hillary.
Brothers. Some of you will know who that means. Well, it's a good question. What's exciting? Well, you know, the reason the left hates Trump supporters so much is that it recognizes that this is a new and very powerful political force that it doesn't know how to fight, and it might actually be better than they are at this stuff. Because we've always been funnier than them, we've just never bothered before. The reason they hate you guys so much is that they know A, you're right on the facts, B, you're much cleverer and funnier, C, you're, you know, glamorous and aspirational and hardworking, which the left hates. The left hates all of these things. It hates all of the things that that Republicans do so well. You know. So they're running scared, and they, you know, you can see this in the difference between the energy in the room and the energy out of the room at my talks. It's shifted very dramatically in the last year. Previously, you'd get sort of furtive, nervous people in the room and vast armies of protesters outside. Now they're running scared. Now they know that they're on the losing side of the argument. And although they still technically hold most of the power in media and academia, on campuses they know they're losing the argument. And rooms like this terrify them. So organize more of them. Organize more of them. Have as many obnoxious, irritating, offensive speakers as you possibly can. Support, you know, all of the people, all of your favorite hellraisers. And just remember, you know, look, the thing they want more than anything else is to bully or shame you into submission. So do everything you do with a smile on your face. Do it with good nature and good humor. Laugh at them because they are eminently ridiculous. And if you want to go into some kind of political activism, pick a cause you know is right, that you can win, that you believe in, and just start talking about it to anyone who will listen. Because you will discover, as I discovered, there's a vast, untapped, silent army in this country who are sick of the progressive left. And it includes not just Republicans and libertarians, it includes liberals too. There's so many people who are just frustrated with how balmy their own side has been. As, you know, how crazy social justice warriors have turned. You know, people like Dave Rubin. They're just like, what happened to my side? How did this happen? People who won't vote for Hillary under any circumstances. People who will listen to you if you stick to the facts, do it with good humor, and just demonstrate. You know, just be funnier and smarter and hotter and more energetic and more determined than they are. It isn't difficult. Fucking look at them. Your enemies are Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer. You don't have too much to worry about. And pick a subject that you care about, because it's hard work doing this stuff, you know. You have to amass resources and an army, and, you know, come out every night and do stuff like this is a lot to ask of anybody. But there's a huge opening right now. Irrespective of what happens in this election, there is a massive market opportunity for anybody who believes in freedom in this country, because it has been sorely lacking for a very long time. For 30 years, the language policing of the left has been beating down on your freedom of expression, having movies censored, music censored, things withdrawn, cancelled, the endless charade of celebrity apologies for the wrong Halloween outfit. Let me tell you, the vast majority of America is with you, not them. So go out and talk to them.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. I was just wondering about what your opinion is on the Harvard University men's
The
soccer
football.
team.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yes,
I can
about
tell
the
you. Yeah.
comments rating women from 1
Right.
to 10, and saying which style they'd like to have sex with them. And
So Harvard football team. So, well, yeah, my kind of football. My kind of football. The gay football. The one for women and homos. Not real football. The Harvard soccer team did what boys often do, which is 7, 9, 6. Locker room talk. This is how men speak. And pretending that it isn't, and creating this schism between public and private, you know, forcing people to behave one way privately and one way publicly is deeply psychologically dysfunctional. Denying that men are visual animals and quite like to look at sexy women, quite like to rate them sometimes. Who cares? Is that cause to cancel an entire season's worth of sports? Of course it fucking isn't. We don't just tolerate women who behave vindictively and spitefully and cruelly towards men. We celebrate them. We put them in magazines. We often don't check their stories very carefully. Rolling Stone. We believe anything. We're told to listen and believe. Whatever women say. But when men do it, when men dare to express sexual interest in a woman, it's a sort of crime. It's a secular heresy. A couple of steps away from being illegal, surely. Well, you cannot deny human nature. You cannot deny people's natural instincts and impulses. Men like to look at things. Women like to, you know, on the whole, generally, more emotional, more empathetic. Men are sort of systematizing and visual, by and large. Punishing boys for being boys is going to fuck them up. And the real victims of this are actually women. Because although it is bad for men, and although men end up a little alone, they can retreat into porn and video games and each other's company. And sports and, you know, working out all the rest of it. Women in their 30s who are still single are fucking miserable. I don't know a single woman in their 30s without a boyfriend who's happy. Why? Because this sort of ugly brand of feminism, this utterly hypocritical set of speech codes, with one rule for boys and one rule for girls, is driving the sexes apart. And this is another example of how feminism hurts women the most. It always has. Cancelling a season of soccer, gay as it is. I mean, please. Ice hockey. Basketball. You've got so many good sports. Well, not if you're white, I guess. But talk about structural racism. Try being a white guy who wants to play basketball. This sort of cancelling a whole season of sport because men were being boisterous and cheeky is such a perfect example of the lunacy and hypocrisy taking root in this country and in its educational establishments. This is precisely the place that men should be letting off steam, that women should be finding out what they like and what they don't like, that the sexes should be sometimes awkwardly, sometimes confusedly, very often harmoniously, finding out about each other, working out what's okay and what's not okay. Universities have no place interfering in people's private lives like that. No place legislating how people speak. And no place punishing boys for being boys. It's pathetic. And I think universities need to get out of people's bedrooms. And those universities that refuse to get out of people's bedrooms will see their attendance and enrollment drop. They will see their alumni donations drop because you know what? Sure, Harvard's never going to want for applicants, but Harvard has plenty of Republican alumni. Plenty of people who went to Harvard will just not donate anymore. It will hurt them in the end. I see a sort of, in the marketplace of universities, I see a sort of split opening up between places like DePaul University, mental, completely mental. Why is it always the Catholics? And the University of I can say it, I am one. And the University of Chicago, which has announced that for people coming in 2017, 2018, do not expect any trigger warnings, do not expect any safe spaces. This is somewhere you come to learn. So I Another example of capitalism working well, I hope, is that this is going to be corrected by market forces. People are just not going to apply, they're not going to give money, and they're not going to be fond of institutions that have these crazy social justice politics. The idea that Harvard, of all places, by some metrics, the best school you have, has fallen to this nonsense. Yale has fallen, of course, to the insane garbage of cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation. It's how art works, you idiots. It's not racism, it's how art functions. The idea that the best institutions in this country fall into this stuff is depressing. But there are schools that are better. Everybody I meet now who asks where to apply, I tell them to go to the University of Chicago. And I'm sure there are other schools, and they're going to emerge over time. It's the single biggest red flag that the very best institutions, the very best educational institutions in this country, are lost to reason and lost to common sense. And I hope it hurts them. I hope applications go through the floor. It's Harvard, so it'll take them a bit longer to get stung, I think, but it's not on, and it's not okay. And punishing boys for being boys is one of the things that's causing the most problems in civilization and society. This election, in many respects, is a sort of war between men and women, the sort of feelings brigade of the institutional Democrat Party who want the state to be the provider of all things, just want everybody to be dependent on this paternalistic superstate. And the sort of rugged, sometimes rough around the edges, but strong and proud and patriotic values of a daddy figure who isn't always perfect, doesn't always say exactly what you want him to, but you have confidence in your father. You know that he's going to do right by you, that he has your best interests at heart. And if you listen to what he says, vote him into the White House. Things will be okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for my pen. I'm very happy about it. Thank you very much. Thank you for this. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.